Alright guys, today we're going to learn how to play spooky music. It's really a short video because there's not a lot of theory in this as such, but for those who want to start playing spookier music that sounds more like maybe... it sounds really distorted and there's not really much of a relationship between any sort of happy intervals. By intervals I mean the relationship between two notes, in this case triads and augments. So what sort of scale do we have to play in to produce a spooky sound? There really is no scale apart from the chromatic scale, and you might get close when you hit the sort of the Algerian and bebop scales, but in essence the chromatic scale and a particular pattern inside the chromatic scale is the one that you want to focus on, because in the chromatic scale it literally means every single colour, and every single colour is every single note. That's what chromatic means. So the chromatic scale is literally every single note. So having said that, we need to focus a particular pattern, and that pattern looks something like this. Now you notice that the pattern's got 4, 4, 4, 4 as it's going up the strings, but as it's also going back. Now this pattern covers every single note, hence the chromatic scale. But you can reduce this to 3s, you can also reduce this to 2s per string, you get a completely different sound. Okay, take that down. So I'm going to play that really quickly. It's going to sound like this. On distortion it sounds like this. Now that's the pattern that we want to get if you want the spooky music. So if I played in that particular pattern without going chromatically, of course, you might get something very similar to this. Or in actual fact, I'm going to show you a riff that I use quite often in my own music. This is what it looks like. This is played on acoustic. Okay, now the last one obviously wasn't written down, but that's the riff I use. On distortion, it'll sound like this. Now if you want to throw that into other applications like other scales, for instance like the major scale, you can start to create something that sounds quite nice, or sounds quite, not normal, but sounds quite westernized, and then you can throw something spooky into it that's beyond the bluesy sound. I'll give you an example. For instance, there's a well-known riff in a computer game that everyone loved at one point, so see if you can guess it. On distortion it'll sound like this. Yeah, so believe it or not, that's a very well-known riff in the Doom 2 game. So guys, that there is a clear example of what happens when it's obviously in the Aeolian mode in the major scale, but the first part is using that string of 4 notes to produce that spooky sound that you hear quite often. So having said that, use that in your own playing. That's the end of the lesson. It's really simple. That's the spooky notes. That's how you play spookily. So use those as much as you can if you want to create some sort of distorted horror film sound in your own playing. So hope you enjoyed it. Take what you can, and I'll see you guys next time.